Hey everybody, Cory Redekop here with the Burnaby Board of Trade. Want to give you an update on the wage subsidy program that's changed. Yesterday, I believe, all the new details came out that expanded eligibility for the 75% Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy Program. Make sure you're watching tune for our COVID-19 update calls. I'm doing those twice a week. We had one this morning, and next one is on Wednesday coming up next week after Easter. Those calls, we go over all the details of what we've known that's come out from government on the various programs. We answer your questions, and we take your concerns about the government, because it's not just important for us to tell you what they're saying. It's important to make sure that we're feeding back to government what needs to change, what needs to be better, what needs to be faster to get our business community through the COVID-19 crisis. So really quickly, the updates that have happened to the wage subsidy. So you'll remember there are two wage subsidies now. There is the 75% wage subsidy, and it's not replacing the 10% temporary wage subsidy. That one's still in effect. But the 75% one, obviously, if you can make that one work, it's much better in your favor. So eligibility is for all businesses, not-for-profits, and charities that have seen their gross revenues decline because of COVID-19. Now, it used to be you had to have declines of 30% in March, April, and May compared this year to 2019. That's now changed. It's only 15% decline in March that you have to show, 30% still in April and May. Now, how you calculate that comparison, it is based on your gross revenues of your company or your organization, and you have to choose one way or the other and stick with that choice, either to do a year-over-year comparison, or you can compare March, April, May with the average of January and February of 2020. This is a big win. We were pushing for this. This will allow new businesses that didn't have a 2019 number to compare to take part in the program, and it will allow those businesses that really busted their butts to get their business growing and have seen a lot of growth between 2019 and 2020. They're able to make use of this program now, because they're able to compare more relevant comparison numbers with January and February to what's going to happen in March, April, and May. So 15% for March, 30% declines April and May. If you meet those thresholds, you can apply for the wage subsidy. You can choose either cash basis or accrual basis for your accounting method. That might be over some people's head. It sometimes is over mine, but that really means if you're accruing for things, so invoicing, so you're going to count jobs in March because they were done in March, that's March revenue, or you're doing it by cash in. So if they're not going to pay for that job in March until May, well, then that becomes May revenue when the money actually hits the bank. So you can choose, again, either way to do it, but you only get to choose one, and you got to stick with that going forward. So the subsidy, remember, it's going to cover 75% of the first $58,700 in salary. That's up to $847 per person per week. So it's a wage subsidy program, so that means you have to have wages. So what does that mean for those people who are business owners or have contractors or those kind of things? So it needs to be T4 employment income. It needs to have an employer-employee relationship. So whether it's contractors or the business owners themselves, you got to be thinking, is the money that you're paying those people, is it part of that pool of money that you would be using to calculate CPP, withholding taxes, that kind of thing? If it is, it's probably eligible payroll. For contractors, that would count. For the business owners, the same thing. You want to be drawing a salary from the business that's a wage. So if you're taking your income as investment income, dividends, that kind of thing, that's not a wage, so it won't be part of this wage subsidy. But if you are an actual employee of the business, even if you are the shareholder, you're still fine to go. That's still counting as wages. Now, there's a caveat there for business owners and those who are not arm's length employees. So that means the owners, their family members, kids, spouses. The subsidy is available to wages paid to those people, the average of those wages before March 15th. That's the cutoff for what the government's calling pre-crisis. So if you're the business owner, or your spouse has been working in the business, and you always have, and before March 15th you were taking a salary and a wage, you're fine to go. But if the business kind of stuff hit the fan and you brought in the kids and the spouse to help in the business after March 15th, then because they're not arm's length employees, you're not going to be eligible for the wage subsidy for those people. But and then solopreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, proprietorships. By definition, a proprietorship, that's business, personal business income. So you're not going to be able to get the wages paid on that because that's your own personal income. If you're a proprietorship and you have employees, then obviously that the pool of employee wages would be eligible. So remember, this is a rebate program. So you're going to be applying for this afterwards after a claiming period to get the rebate back, because obviously you're not going to know what your payroll was for a period until after that's done, and you're not going to know what your April revenues are until April's finished. The confusion, there's been a bit of confusion from people on the claiming periods and the reference periods. So yes, you're comparing March to March, or March to January, February, if you're going to do it that way, or you're comparing April revenue and May revenue, but you're not claiming the payroll for all of March, all of April, all of May. There's 3 claiming periods. There's March 15th to April 11th. There's April 12th to May 9th, and there's May 10th to June 6th. So the first one, the March one that starts in March, that's what you're comparing March revenue. So if you're eligible, if you can meet that 15% threshold for March declines, then you can get your payroll subsidized for March 15th all the way to April 11th. If you can meet the April 30% threshold, then you can get your payroll from April 12th all the way to May 9th. And you'd be applying for that period. And then lastly, May, if you meet the threshold for May, it's May 10th to June 6th. The payroll in that period, then you would apply to have 75% of that rebated back to you as an employer. You do have to make an attestation to try to top up that salary to the rest of the 25%, so keep an eye out on that. And you need to make a legal attestation that you're meeting these criteria. Right now, it doesn't look like they're gonna make you upload your P&Ls or balance sheets to the cloud or anything, but you wanna be making sure that you're following this and you're doing it through the letter. There's a little bit of a tweak that came out in the new changes this week, and it's really aimed at helping, encouraging businesses to rehire people even if they can't open or they don't have work. And what that means is you may have seen a mention about 100% refund for employer contributions to CPP and EI. Now that's only for people who are furloughed. Now, what the hell is a furlough? That is when somebody is on leave with pay. So there's no work for them, but you don't want to lose the employee or lay them off or fire them. So what the government is trying to get people to do is bring them back, rehire those people, so they can make the 75%. They can get the wage. They can get their 75% of their wages covered by the subsidy, and then to encourage that, because these businesses might not have any revenue coming in at all. I'm thinking restaurants, I'm thinking those kind of places where you might not want to fire everybody and lose those staff, but you can't bring them all back anyways because there's no work to be done. So you could then also, when you apply for your wage subsidy, in those situations, you can be applying for getting your employer paid contributions to the EI kicked back to you as well. So that's a brief rundown of the wage subsidy program. That's the 75% one. Big changes this week to make it more eligible to everybody. If for some reason you're still not eligible for that one, don't forget the 10% wage subsidy is still in availability. So that one you do yourself through remittances, and it's 10% of your wages as long as you're a small Canadian controlled corporation. So take a look at bbot.ca/COVID-19. All the details we have are up there. They're updated as soon as I get them from government. And making a point of looking out for our COVID update calls that I do twice a week. Next one coming up next Wednesday after Easter. Thanks so much, everybody. Again, this is Cory with the Burnaby Board of Trade. Stay safe out there, and we'll chat soon.